Alright, so this video is, or probably series of videos, is all about topographic survey coding and how we can code things in the field so that when they are brought into the CAD system, whatever software that is, they can be automatically have lines drawn in between them, and all the points and all the descriptions and the symbols come in specifically and where they should be and make it all look right. So that'll eliminate a lot of the drafting needs for the field codes if they're coded correctly in the data collector. So when we go out and locate things and doing a topographic survey in the data collector, you export that and you commonly get a file that is a PNEZD. So that is the point number, the northing N, easting is E, elevation Z, and then the D is the description or the code as we have it in here. And so you get this list of points that have corresponding coordinates, elevations, and a code along with it. And what we're going to concentrate here is the code that we put in for the item or the feature in the field so that when we bring it into the CAD system, it's drawn correctly. A couple of different codes though that need to go along with it. We have a point code, first of all. This is going to instruct the CAD system to put in a symbol or something where that point is located in the field. For example, a manhole. So if you go out and locate a manhole, we want the point to be in the exact location with reference to everything else, of course. And then the symbol is going to come in as a manhole. A linking code tells the individual shots how to be connected. For example, those codes are going to determine how those shots should be connected, whether it should be with lines or strings, arcs, curves, everything else. The line code then goes along with the linking code so that it connects those dots or puts the lines in between. Begins, ends, creates or starts the curve and everything else along with that. The ones that we're going to use are um, these six: BL, EL, CL for close the figure. And then as far as the curves go, it's going to be PC for the beginning of the curve, OC when we're doing non-tangential curves, and then PT for end of the curve. So a really horizontal curve nomenclature being used there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to run through an example of of every one of these 58 points and how they should be coded in the field. We'll start down here at number 1. We'll end up down here at point number 58. So to begin, the codes that we're going to use go along with IDOT. So we're going to use numeric codes for the features and then alpha codes for the descriptors or the linking codes. So here are the codes down here in the bottom, and we'll get into each one of these as we go further. So number 1 is a sidewalk. Sidewalk is a 292 code, a sidewalk edge. And you'll notice here that there's a descriptor that goes along with it, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that this is going to be my sidewalk edge line number 1. This will end up being number 2. This is going to be my sidewalk edge number 3, and this will be 4. We're going to create 4 separate lines all at the same time using the field code 292 for sidewalk edge. So for point number 1, my code that I'm going to put into the data collector is going to be 292 for the sidewalk edge. I'm going to modify it with the line number that I'm creating. And then I'm also going to add another modifier to say begin my line here. So that goes along with these: begin line, end line, and close figure. Okay, so that's my field code that I'm putting into the data collector. Similar for line number 2, or for sidewalk edge number 2, I've got sidewalk edge 292. I'm saying that my number here is line number 2, and I'm going to begin this line as well. For the curb, for the first curb, so we're essentially cross-sectioning from right to left in this case. My curb is 502, it's the back of the curb. That's my first curb line, so that's going to be the curb number 1, and I'm going to begin that line as well. Point number 4 is obviously a little bit more complicated. You see a lot more codes and numbers here. So 351, that's my manhole It's the actual feature that I'm locating. It's manhole number 451. Oftentimes in doing a topo, we're going to label the manholes, the inlets, the structures, storm and sewer structures with a corresponding point number. A lot of times maybe we'll use the point number that is actually represented as the point number in the field book or in the field in the data collector. But in this case, we numbered it 451. Maybe this was part of a larger survey and it was tying into something else. So I've got my 351 is the code. That's the manhole. That's the location. My number of the manhole that I want to use is 451. And I'm also going to add another line in here to begin. So 336, that is a sewer line. I want to draw in a line right here. This is my first sewer line, so I'm going to modify it with line number 1, and I'm going to begin that line. So these two here go together, much like the previous three. Opposite side of the street, I've got a 502, which is a curb, and it is my second line, my second curb line. Then we keep going, we've got a 292, line number 3, 292 again is sidewalk, and 4 is also, or point number 7 is also a sidewalk, and this is my fourth line. So the red numbers that I have here are my line numbers. The black numbers are my point numbers. And then I may have codes and descriptors over here. So I've began a whole number or set of lines in here. And as we move up, we already have these lines started. So here's my sidewalk 1, sidewalk 2, sidewalk 3, and sidewalk 4, curb 1 and curb 2. Those have been previously started. I don't have this defined here because I'm not doing anything with or I don't have this labeled here. I'm not doing anything with the storm line quite yet. So we left off with point number 7. So we'll go up here to point number 8. Okay, point number 8 is a sidewalk. And I'm going to say this is just continuing sidewalk number 4. So 292, sidewalk edge, and it's continuing my line 4. Go to 9, it's sidewalk, continuing my line 3. 10 adds another level into here. So first thing I have is a 502, which is going to be the curb. It's continuing my curb line. So that's curb line number 2. But it's also ending my sidewalk line. So I'm going to say it's a sidewalk is 292. It corresponds with number 3, and it's ending that. So I'm going to modify this with the EL behind it. As I jump across the street, I'm going to say that this line here corresponds with 292 sidewalk, and that line goes along with line number 2. Now, it would seem reasonable here to locate 12 before 11 or switch these 2 points, but the thing is because I've started this line, I want to end it over here, so I have to have this intermediate point because the way the codes are read in, or the points are read in, they're read in sequentially. So I have to have line number 2 turning before I end it. So I have to locate 11 before I locate 12. But 12 goes along with that next. So here we're going to end that sidewalk line. We're going to continue curb line number 1. You'll notice here that I have 502 and these 2 codes switched back and forth. It doesn't matter which way these go. Okay, you can have the codes as long as you have the modifiers in the correct location. It's okay. 13. This is actually this sidewalk line is actually going to continue further to the east. So this is my sidewalk line number 1, continuing from the previous. Here we add in another sidewalk line. So I'm going to say 292. You see point number 14 begins a line. And it also acts as the point of curvature for this small curve right in here. So 292 begins my 5th line, my 5th sidewalk line. It continues my curb line, but it also is going to start the curve in here. So that's why I have the PC, because that's my point of curvature, or where it begins. 15 is a point on the line. If you remember back a couple slides ago, there was a OC, which was on the curve. That's one we only need for non-tangential. These are tangential lines that I'm going to connect in here. So I'm just going to say that 502 is the curb line, and it's going to continue through this point. 16 is going to continue my fifth sidewalk line, okay? And then 17 is going to continue the fifth sidewalk line. It's actually going to end that sidewalk line. And if I move this over, I've got 502, which is my curb. It's my first curb line. And this is going to be the end of that sidewalk right here. And then just continuing as we go across. 18 is actually going to begin a whole new curb line. So I have 18 beginning this curb line, 292. It's going to create curb line 6, and it's going to continue sidewalk, or it's going to continue curb line 1. I'm sorry, 18 starts sidewalk line 6. It's going to continue curb line number 1. So I should have a number 1 right over here. 19 continues my sidewalk line number 6. So here we go here, and it's 292, and modify it with the sidewalk line. All the way down here to 20. I located the back of the walk before the front of the walk. So that's going to be my sidewalk, 292 code. This is line number 1 as we go here, and I'm going to end that line right there. Similarly, I'm going to end sidewalk line number 6 as well. 22 was the curb line, so it was my first curb line. Remember, I brought that up over here. I'm going to end that line over here. Point number 23, well, that's actually a flow line shot. I didn't have any flow line shots up previously, but here I actually do begin a flow line shot. Now in this case, we can have flow line where it creates lines between here, but because I don't have one already, I don't have any previously, and I haven't decided to put any curb or flow line in, this is my first one. So this is really just a spot code, okay? So this only goes along with no modifier after the end. Point number 24 right here, that's the center line. That's a pavement. 666 goes along with the pavement. I don't have that code down here in the bottom. 25 across the street, I have just a single point code again, no modifier. And then 25, I'm adding another curb line. Now, when I pre-created these lines, curb line 4 or curb line 3 actually is over here. So this is going to be curb line 4. I've got a beginning there. I'm going to end there and we'll pick up from there in the next video. This is a good point to stop.